Hello, in the last video we plonked together the Colchester lathe. Thanks for all the interesting comments on about it. So in the comments it's been said that it's a Colchester Master 6.5 inch, potentially, I mean it's likely war finish. War finish means it was built in a rush, none of the fancy frills. To be honest, when you think about it, it's like, why isn't everything war finished? Why does everything need fancy frills? I mean, I function in the kind of war finish day to day. I didn't even realise it's a term, so I'm gonna use that to justify not needing to put frills and having it, you know, function over form. Even though the function does define the form better than form defines the form, in my opinion. I'm talking crap. I'm running over crap, but there was a lot of comments about the dangers of it. It is a very dangerous machine and covering up the gears and whatnot. I have got an emergency stop. It's this thing. I haven't plonked it on yet. I must be honest. I've used it quite a lot already. I do apologise. As you can see, my fingers are all still here currently. It's all right. So I'm going to put this as a kneel one. So I'm going to put a bar along the whole bottom of the lathe and then have this sitting there. So if I do get pulled in, or if my knee can plonk it. It makes more sense than your foot because your knee's always going to be there. Your foot might be anywhere. So, well, your thigh, your upper thigh. Anyway, the next video I was planning after that, like I've been speaking about, was the conversion of the AUSSIE 7's brakes from the cable brakes that they are to hydraulic brakes. And this is what I've been making on the lathe, as you could see. So I've modified these early ones to take the later back plates for the drum brakes on a 1936 Austin 7 stuff, which can then be converted to hydraulic, but it's a lot more long-winded than I ever thought possible. So gosh knows how long this video is going to take. It is turning into quite a journey, and that's only for the front brakes. I've not even thought about the back brakes yet. Anyway, it made me realise that I'm not going to get that video done anytime soon. I realised I've got another video I can do in the meantime, and that is for something else I picked up when I got the Colchester lathe from the auto accident repair shop that was closing down, and I'm going to show you it now. I mean, arguably not as cool, but it's still pretty damn funky. Have you guessed what it is yet? God, what absolute lump. Oh no, I'm stuck on the oh my god.
This is a quick intermission for the Safety Brigade. In fact, I have enrolled as a special officer in the Safety Brigade on this point because actually, in hindsight, looking back at this, I cannot believe my oversight. So I put up a video of this the other day of it cutting an apple, and somebody was quick to say that I was hanging it from the top, and it sounds like it was an easy mistake to make because they made this exact mistake and it went wrong for them. Basically, I've lifted it up from the top, and that actual handle at the top is on a taper, so it's not even connected. It's on a taper, and yeah, for them it was apparently within microns. The whole thing fell off and was in microns of cutting off their toes. Luckily, I was going at it with quite a bit of caution. You can see I've spent a lot of time trying to stay away from the darn thing whilst it's wiggling around, because even though the ratchet straps are rated for well above the force that thing is exerting when it's swinging around, it still gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I was keeping my distance, but yeah, I don't know why it actually didn't fall off for me. I'm starting to think that the handle on the top, because I did look at it and it did feel quite solid, is actually welded on mine. But yeah, if you're going to be lifting one of these, lift it from the body. And don't lift it from where I've lifted it and the other person lifted it, which fell off for them, unless you're feeling fruity. So yeah, clench those bum cheeks for this video if I was you, or you're in for a poopy surprise.
Bloody Nora. I wasn't planning on getting this thing, but when I was looking at the lathe, this was sitting at the side. Nobody took it, and the scrap man was eyeing it up, and I was like, I can't let this happen. I cannot let this happen. Ended up plonking it in the back of the van as well, and that was awful. That was absolutely awful to pick up. There was no engine hoist at the time because didn't plan on getting it, and it was the heaviest thing. I mean, I don't know what the weight of this is. It's just a big old lump of cast iron, but what this is a Norton DB4. The DB4, I think maybe stands for 4 tons of pressure, 4 tons of force. That's a guess. I have no idea. It seems to be a long backed one, possibly. Feels like it's got a lot of space in the back of it. You can get bigger ones, you can get smaller ones, and this doesn't do as good of a job as a modern hydraulic press, but it's cool, it's awesome, it's way better. And underneath all of the dust and stuff, it is, I think, green. I think there's a dark green kind of colour underneath all of this. We'll clean it up in a little bit, but first we're actually going to make a base for it. Got this off-cut bit of stainless steel, and it's this size. So this is the size of the table we're actually going to make. So just so happens to fit on it, pretty much, with a little bit of space around it to pop things. It's not going to be the tallest thing in the world, just so it's a bit more stable. Yeah, let's just get building. So what do we got size-wise? What size are we building this beast? So we're building it 610 by 640. So I'm going to go 600 by 600. So I'm going to make this up as I'm going. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I'll start with the top and then work down. I'm going to try and just go 610 by 640. Out comes Corporal Smash. Oh yeah. Oh, Monsieur Rapador, I do adore you. It is amazing, and I'm so happy I put it on wheels. I know there was a lot of comments saying, oh, don't put it on wheels, don't put it on blah-de-blah, wheels. This is the best idea. Okay, they're not the most ideal, but you just work with what you've got. These were like just left in a box, and I shoved them on it, and it's perfect. You can spin it around, I can move it in and out whenever I need it. Okay, it's not the best saw, but it is the funnest saw. I love this thing. It's awesome, it's really good, and it's been useful in a lot of projects. Let's work this out. So I need 2 61 centimeters, 2 61ers. Lovely. There's going to be 2 more bits of metal that need to go across that the actual thingamajiggy bolts into. Not going to worry about that. Let's build a box first. We got the legs. This is upside down. This is going to be on the floor, and they're going to sit like that. Probably going to add some gussets because it's oversized, but they're 75mm tall, so it'll be a little bit on the tall side, maybe taller than it is wide, so that's from a stability standpoint a little bit of a concern. Don't think ahead, and I've run out of this exact size, so we're going a size down. We're going to make it stick out a little bit longer. We're just going to make it up as we go. So it's going to be, how wide? We're going wider as we're going along. So it's going to be this way long. We might even bolt it to the floor if we're feeling fruity. If I had a bigger bit of metal, I probably would have made the whole thing wider, but it's not a problem. We'll bolt this to the floor as well. Hindsight's always 20/20, but I think this makes sense. Front like that. We're going to have bolts there. Sit there. That's going to sit there. For like something of that effect. Like that. Right, that's all the metal. That's a lot of metal.
Then it was a case of cleaning up all of the edges and putting a little bit of a chamfer on it so we can weld it all together. I use the angle grinder with a flabby disc to do this. Probably could have put some gloves on at this point, but you know, I'd got the gloves on eventually, as you can see. So this is using some of those nice cheap 90-degree clamps. They were 30 quid for all 4 off eBay, I think. Just search up 90-degree clamps. They're really useful if you're going to be building box section, and really cheap. I started by spot welding it all in place, making sure it was all straight, and then basically just going to town, finishing it off and doing some welds. As you can hear there, I did adjust the settings a little bit as I was going, but it was a work in progress. You can see the welds aren't horrendous on this, but I needed to grind the tops and the bottoms so I could fit the legs and also fit the top flush to the whole thing. But you know, it was coming across neatly, so this is doing the top of it as well. And once the tops are connected together, we get the clamps again and put the feet onto the bottom and make sure it all lines up, and then yeah, pop a bunch of spot welds in, and then basically go to town welding all of the corners and every bit possible, and then it starts coming to shape. It was at this point I realised that it might not be strong enough, so I cut these tiny little gussets from some more offcuts, slightly smaller box section. I popped them in by hand, all on the top. I only did them on the top. I figured it wouldn't matter if it was top or bottom. It was better than none. Anyway, so I popped them all on, 8 in total. I would have gone for some flat sheet metal to do this, but I don't have any. So this is the way it went, and look, it looks quite nice. So this is the top stuff to kind of sit underneath the fly press, underneath the stainless steel panel on the top. This is where we're going to be drilling the holes for the mounting holes, but it also kind of acts as, you know, the downward force from the fly press, even though the fly press is actually held from the front bar and the back bar. So yeah, it's quite a substantial beast. I think that is enough. At some point I will put a shelf in the middle of it when I get more metal, but for now it's going to look quite nice. I went over to B&Q on the way back from some other errands, and I picked up from the bargain basement this red, and I have to say I have realised why it was in the bargain bucket, because it must have been got discontinued because the paint was awful. I would never recommend it. You could probably see the tin there. I don't want to say the name, but yeah, it's awful. Anyway, it's now time to get the pressure washer out and see if we can get it back to its original paintwork, and see if there's any of the old paintwork left. And if you can look closely, you can actually see some of the red on the Norton writing is actually even still there, and it actually came out really nice. I gave it a bit of degreasing and a bit of a cleaning, and then WD-40 all over the place, and look at that green. It's absolutely beautiful. And then I used the completely worst, ill-suited paintbrush, because I couldn't find any smaller, to be able to paint a bit of Hammerite red this time, some nicer paint onto the logo. And then we're going to put the stainless steel on top. I'm not going to bolt it in because we're going to put the bolts through the fly press and onto that. That'll hold it in. And yeah, staying well away from the blooming thing. It was trying to wrestle it onto the top.
That's as far as I'm going to get it. That was a bit of a test. Doesn't even need to go. Right, get the front in and then situate the back. I'm going to put this steel thread in and then cut the bottom off when I have it tightened. There we go. And upwards we head. Oh yeah, watch your head. They hurt. Oh! Doesn't really need to be bolted to the floor. I could bolt it to the floor. I might bolt it when I definitely know where I want to put it. But yeah, you've got to watch your head out on that now. It's perfect height for conking you, because it's got quite a bit of inertia. That's why I painted the balls red as well. Big red barrels. Oh my god. So yeah, keep an eye out for those. You want to get that. Oh. Yeah, no, you don't want that on your head. Look how good the actual colour has come out. Like, that is just such a lovely dark green. It's got all of the wear and tear that has been on it for ages, and now it's just that little bit cleaner, just that little bit more functional. Look at it go. Look at it doing its thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, you beauty. So here we go. It's done. It's pretty good. If I had more metal, I think I would have made it a little bit taller. I was planning on somewhat building it a bit taller, like there, and a whole desk, but amount of metal that I use, which I had already from other projects and stuff, I ordered an extra couple of bars here and there. This is probably already about 50 quid's worth of box section and steel offcuts and stuff. Like any project, it really had the potential of spiraling out of control, and instead of turning from a day-long project to a week or a 2-week-long project. You know how it goes. For an intermediate thing like this, you've really got to keep tabs of it not going out of control. The reason I've got to talk about the height of it, I mean, you've got to be a bit stupid about this, but it is bang right at the point of whacking you on the head. I mean, this is the height. I've seen them at places, but I've also seen them a little bit taller. Being a bit taller may make more sense, but I mean, you've got to be pretty stupid to forget about these big spinning red balls. And also, I'm going to be storing it like this, so it's lateral, so when you're walking along, you're like, ugh, you're not hit on the head. I'm going to paint this red as well, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. Also, something I didn't mention is I left these sticking out so I could store things in them. I think that's a very useful thing instead of wasted space. And also, when I get a bit more metal, I'm going to put an intermediate shelf in there to be able to stack more of the tooling bits and bobs underneath on two layers. Like I said at the start of the video, this is held on with a taper. However, I'm not sure whether this one is actually, because it's proper on there. Like, this was being swung around loads with my absolute negligence, and it's not budged a bit. I've tried hitting it with a hammer. I actually think this one might have been welded on at some point. So yeah, there's probably not much of a chance of swapping this for one of the smaller, heavier wheel ones like this that spin around and they're a little bit less circumference. This thing, however, did not come with much tooling. It came with this one. There is a base for this. It's gone for walkies. I don't know where it's gone. And I actually already used this when this was all minging on the floor to bend the bit of metal that the remote control is on for the lathe. It's also also got a longer one, and there's the base for it. The base for this one will turn up at some point. I have won a job lot on eBay, like bearing pushers and things like that. That's turning up at some point. It hasn't turned up yet. So yeah, it'll be useful when it's useful. It takes up more space than a hydraulic press. It hasn't got as much force as a hydraulic press. And it's a little bit more lethal than a hydraulic press. But by gosh, for style, it's 10 out of 10. So yeah, anyway, until next time, I'm Sam. This is the head knocker off a 3000. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Or after my apple, of course. Gonna stay well away. Oh, gimme. Yum, yum, yum.